Causation in clinical cases has been a tricky area for many years. I think more cases probably run aground due to problems with causation than issues around breach of duty. Given the number of reported cases that tackle the subject, the principles should be pretty clear by now. But if anything, all that case law only seems to increase uncertainty. That isn't helped by the fact that sometimes there isn't even clear agreement over the terminology that the courts are using. And for example, one of the concepts we'll look at today is material contribution. But looking through the case law, it's clear that the judges in the higher courts aren't always talking about the same thing when they use that term. And in fact, there's some argument over whether it actually exists at all as a discrete principle, or whether in fact it's just an extension of the basic principles of but-for causation. Another big area of uncertainty is whether an injury should be characterized as divisible or indivisible when there isn't a single accepted definition or a universal way of using those terms. What I'm going to try to do today is, rather than trying to resolve any of the esoteric legal or academic arguments, I've tried to cut out as much of the unnecessary complexity as I can and give you a simplified structure for how you can look at causation in your clinical cases. And I've identified 5 different categories of case where legal causation will or won't typically exist. Whenever you have a case that's anything more than entirely straightforward, it's worth looking back at this structure and trying to work out which categories in the case that you're dealing with, which categories the case you're dealing with might slot into. I also wanted to emphasize that, as far as I'm concerned, what's often most important when you're looking at causation in a clinical case is not legal causation, but factual causation, the nitty-gritty of what should have happened.